Hey, what's up everybody? It is Kellen here from Start Your Systems, and welcome to another little Monster Energy Supercross custom track gameplay where I'm going to show you guys a couple tracks that I made that are more or less like my ideas for tracks that I think would be good in real life and possibly could even be used in real life, I think. Both of these tracks have a couple things I would think that are like just wrong enough with them that they might not ever get used, but I'll try to talk you through that. So this first track that I'm playing, it's called SYS Inner Loop on the PC. I don't really have like a good name for it other than that because it stems from an idea that I have talked to my dad about before, called where we like loop the track within itself. And I'll explain what that means in a second, but basically the gist of this track that I like is that it kind of equals out how many left turns and right turns there are. Like, so it has a long kind of left hand sweeper through this first corner, then you have a long set of whoops right here with a little kind of jump in the middle of it, and then another left, and then pretty much a lot of rights after this, mostly rights. I think there's only one left after this section. So it kind of equals out, but why it's called inner loop is because you can see here there's a sweeper on the inside of what I was going to have be a sweeper over on that side of the track. And then I'll probably do a little overlay right here where I explain my real idea for this, because I wasn't able to exactly make it work with this. But yeah, I'll put an overlay right here and basically say I'd rather it turn right after the start straight down here and then come back across and then be able to go down the section that I'm actually on the track right now, and then go straight ahead and then U-turn and then come back underneath the bridge and then out onto the start straight. So I'll try to explain that the best I can in a little image, but other than that, I think that this track is about what I'd like to see out of it. I'm not too sold on the whoops being the first section, but I do like the idea of a whoop section with kind of like a dragon's back jump to a landing and kind of a whoop section again somewhere in this track. Maybe not exactly like the way I built it, but yeah, I think that this track could be pretty cool. The over-unders in this game are pretty much only useful for on-off, so maybe something different here, but I like this section as it is because it kind of has a little tire tap, it has an on-off, we got a dragon's back little double thing, finish line jump on this side, and then what I'd rather this be like here is you could either double single, or you could roll this and like downside right here and then double into the corner. This game makes it too easy to kind of hit big lines, so therefore you would be able to just triple around the corner in this game. And this Kawasaki is not really holding its own like I'd expected. I raced this track on a Husqvarna in the stream that I did last night, and it was totally fine. Like, hit everything no problem. Cowie isn't really doing much of the same. I like this section a lot though. Come out of the corner, you got a tire tap, and then three into the corner. I feel like that's probably the best rhythm section I've ever built, and I really like it. And I think the lap times here kind of suffice for what could be made inside of a football stadium. Like, that's about the longest lap time you're gonna get, is somewhere in like the mid to low 55s. The next one I'll show you, which is also in a football stadium, I'm going to do 2 football stadium tracks and 2 baseball stadium tracks, but today it's just the football stadium ones, so I will make custom baseball stadium tracks and show you a couple of my ideas for that one. So this is my first idea in a football stadium. But yeah, I mean, it's called inner loop because you have the long sweeper around one edge of the stadium, it comes back and loops within itself again as another sweeper, and then as I showed you on the diagram, maybe if I did or if I didn't, I don't know, it would come inside of this one loop again one more time right here in this dead area, and instead have another U-turn that then leads you back under the bridge from there. I just couldn't make it fit in the stadium that it gave us, so there's that. A couple things that I wanted to point out with this track that need to be like apparent for it to work though is there's a big open space right here on the left side of the track. Every Supercross track, no matter what it is, has to have a pretty easy access from a tunnel, i.e. that tunnel right there, to the starting gate. That is so that they can have the riders lined up on the gate for the next race every time, and they have plenty of time to get lined up and go through staging and all that business. That's just how it is. I think even this track probably would struggle to get away with that because there'd be a bowl berm on the backside of the starting gate, which people would complain about, but now nets kind of save us with that, so maybe it wouldn't be the end all. And then always, there's not even enough room on the side of this track. There needs to be, like, I think the regulation is about 15 feet on the side of each track, from the side of the track to the edge of the stadium, to allow for a rider either going off the track or for personnel to stand on the side of the track. So there's a couple regulations that make tracks like these pretty hard to squeeze into a stadium, but I still think that they could get something along these lines. I just feel like this whole track has a really good flow to it. Like, it has these couple tight corners down here, but it's mostly used for the finish. And I think a couple tight corners before the finish would be a good idea, because people would be racing for like final transfer spots or for the win, and it would be tight action. But the rest of the track is these long straightaways, long fast corners. Kind of opens it up a little bit. I don't know. I just think it's a good mix of fast, slow, a whole bunch of different things like that. So yeah, this is SYS Inner Loop on the PC. You can check it out. We did a little stream. Well, it'll be 2 nights ago when you see this video. So you saw us play this track a little bit with a couple people online, and people seem to enjoy it. So I was happy about that. But yeah. Can like this track or you can not like it. Either way, this is SYS Inner Loop. I'm gonna go ahead and jump to the next track now. Alright guys, here is the second track. This track on the PC is called SYS_all mixed up. This is another of my football stadium creation tracks, and I'm going to try to point out a couple things that I think could happen with a track like this, and a couple things that I don't think might be able to happen, and then why I decided to make a track like this, and so on and so forth. So, my thing is, long start straights in Supercross are becoming kind of useless because the bikes are so fast. They're going so fast in the first corner. It's really about who gets a good jump, and then the rest of it is kind of pointless. So that's why in that first track that you saw, the start straight was fairly small. And again, I went with another pretty small start straight, although I don't think it's that small. Basically, the start is over there, and then it comes down through all of these lanes and then goes into that hole shot area through the first corner. I mean, that's not that small. Like, it would be pretty well sorted going into that first corner. But this track, I like the going back and forth across the start straight aspect of it, because they used to do tracks like this a lot at the end of the 2000s, or at the end of the 1990s, I should say, right before the 2000s. And then for some reason, they just all together stopped doing these tracks where it was going back and forth across the start straight at the top end of the stadium, and then they would figure out ways to make the rhythm lanes and everything else work across the bottom. One of my favorite all-time tracks is Dallas 1999, and it has a very similar style to this, where it comes back and forth across the start straight a little bit. It jumps across the start straight at the tail end of the lap over to the, like, you go over the finish, and then it jumps across the start straight and then turns around and jumps back across the start straight again, which is very similar to what I used on this. And then I also like a couple of the quirky turns that I put right there, where they're not like perfect 90s or 180s, those are both 75-degree corners, I believe. So there's that. I think I would like to do something a little different right there, where I just came up short on that jump, but the start straight kind of limits you to what you can put, because you're running into the start straight pretty much every other option. I really like this rhythm section. I drew some inspiration for this rhythm section from Indy 2009, which is built by Mike LaRocco, or designed by Mike LaRocco, I should say. It's not exactly the same rhythm, but it's pretty close, and I like that rhythm a lot because there's a couple different options. I'll try to point those out. But yeah, every other part of the track is pretty straightforward. Again, talking about the riders needing to get from the tunnel to the start gate, that is why there's a lot of dead space in this section coming up over here. So you can see right behind the start gate, there's absolutely nothing going on over there. I could have used a little bit more of the track, but I like these little not perfect 90 corners, like I said. And then I think they would be able to squeeze in through back here, you know, just coming out of the tunnel on the right side over there, and then squeeze in behind that, and then get to the starting gate without much problems. Like I said, there's really weird kind of things that need to happen at a Supercross event, i.e. riders getting to the gate before the race before them is over, so that they can line up sufficiently and whatnot. But yeah, this is just another idea I had. It has a couple different options, as I had 360 right there. So through this rhythm, I'm going to do the smaller rhythm. You can go 2, 2 over, and then you can 3 off of this, although I messed it up. And then you can quad double, so that's one of the lines. Should have wrote a 450 because I build these tracks on a 450. A little on-off in the back, turn around. This is one of 2 Supercross triples. Come down here. The only whoop section on the track, but I like it being pretty long and uninterrupted because those are usually when the best whoops are made. Through here, I'm thinking 3 and then 3 around the corner and then 2 in is probably your best bet. Out of this corner, 3 in, Supercross triple, a little bit bigger landing. Then you jump across the start straight, double here, and then you can either jump all the way back across the start straight again, or, as I messed up, you can step over this, fly across the start straight, and then table over single into the corner. So a couple options there, and then I'll try to show you the other option that you can use right here. So you swing wide, you 3 in, double, might not be able to get it, 3 onto the table, off, and then 3 into the corner. Those are pretty much your 2 main lines. I think there's probably a couple other lines you could make work in there, but they wouldn't be as fast. I just like that section a lot because there really is 2 good lines through there. Like, you could take either one of those and it would be just as fast in my opinion. So that's why I like that rhythm section. I like how long it is, using the whole length of the stadium there. Let's see, what else can I talk about this track that I like? I called it all mixed up because there is a lot of turns. It is pretty evenly split. I'll try to go from the start and count all the turns, but it's pretty evenly split between rights and lefts. So call it all mixed up because it's kind of like back and forth, back and forth. So let's go from this corner. Got 1 left. Let's get this line clean this time. On, off, triple. We got the 2nd left. Got a 3rd left. And then finally our first right. So we get 3 lefts, 1 right to start. And then 2 rights. Across the start straight. 3 rights. So we're 3-3, then a 4th right, then a 4th left. Followed by a 5th left. So we're 4 rights, 5 lefts. A 6th left. And a 5th right. And then the final corner is a 7th left. So there's 12 corners on this track, which for a Supercross track is a lot in my opinion. Again, theoretically speaking about this race track for use like by Feld if they wanted to use a track like this, I don't think that there's enough room on either end of the stadium to allow, like, I think you could squish this together a little bit, but you might have to eliminate a lane. There's definitely not enough room over here and next to the finish line jump either, so you'd have to squish that in a little bit. Like, they'd have to basically condense this all down a little bit, but I think they could still make it fit. These stadiums are a little bit off regulation size in my opinion, so maybe there's a little bit more room on either side. I think the end zones are probably a little bit too long in this stadium. But I don't know, just a couple football stadium ideas that I had. They're not perfect necessarily, and there's obviously a couple glaring things that could be wrong with them, most notably not enough space, but I think on some level they could make something like these fit in, and then I think they'd be really good for racing because, like, this track, way more so than the other, is like just really, really busy. Like, you don't get a lot of time to rest. The 2 sweepers on the other one would be kind of your resting points. You got only 1 Supercross triple on this one. I put 2, so there'd be more resting points. And then, yeah, I mean, 1, 2, 3... You could call it 3 good long rhythm sections-ish on this track. 2 Supercross triples, a long set of whoops. They're going back and forth across the start straight, a lot of corners, which uses a lot of energy. I just think it'd be a pretty physically taxing track, but I also think it'd be a good racing track because There are a lot of bowl corners, but there's a lot of 90s as well to mix in and kind of make it so a couple spots would be one line, but then there'd be a couple opportunities for passing as well. Namely these 2 spots down here. Jump across the start straight and get a good line on someone, maybe square them up for a block pass, and then definitely in the corner before the finish line, if you get one of those 2 lines really good, you could square someone up in the final corner. Just a couple ideas I had. I saw someone had recommended that I show off some of the ideas of what I think would be good tracks. So I started off with football stadiums because there's more football stadium races on the calendar. I'll do a couple baseball stadium tracks like I said. But yeah, this is SYS all mixed up. Named after one of my favorite bands, 311's, one of my favorite songs from 311, all mixed up. And yeah, try it out. Try out SYS Inner Loop, both on the PC. I might take the time to build these on PS4, but I'm not 100% sure on that. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and you have your ideas as well on tracks. Any ideas you could offer up to me on your ideas on these tracks, or your own personal ideas for a track you'd like to see. Whether you like my track or not, I'd love to hear your opinions on what they should do Supercross-wise to these tracks, and if they're possible at all. But yeah, thanks for watching another video here on SYS. Killing here on Starter Systems. I'll see you guys in the next video. So long for now.